In this video, we're going to be considering the slope or gradient of a line. In this video, we're going to be looking at the slope or gradient of a line. So let's consider our Cartesian plane, where you have your x-axis and you have your y-axis. So let's consider this line. Let's consider the line at point A, which is x1, y1, and point B, which is x2, y2. So tracing this to the y-axis and tracing it down to the x-axis, we're going to discover that this is change in y, which will be y2 minus y1, and this is change in x, which is x2 minus x1. So when we are talking about the gradient or slope of a line, we are simply referring to the change in y divided by the change in x respectively. So the formula could be written this way: the gradient, which is normally represented with m, is known as the change in respect to y divided by change with respect to x, and this is also written as y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1 respectively. So this is just about a gradient of a line. So henceforth we are going to be solving examples on this gradient of a straight line using this formula. So example 1 here, we are to find the gradient of a line joining the points 5, 3 and point 7, 8 respectively. So to solve this now, remember in our first video introduction, we have the gradient, which is given as n, to be equal to the final value of y minus the initial value of y divided by the final value of x minus the initial value of x. That is y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So from our example 1 now, we have x1 to be equal to 5, and we have x2 to be equal to 7. We have y1 to be equal to 3, and we have y2 to be equal to 8. So by solving this now, we're going to be substituting our value of x and y respectively into the formula. So y2 here, we have it to be 8 minus y1, which is 3, divided by x2, which is 7, minus x1, which is 5. So solving this now, 8 minus 3, we are going to have to be 5, divided by 7 minus 2, which is 2. So this is our gradient. The answer there is 5/2. So now let's go to the example 2. Let's look at the example 2. From our example 2, the first one here, which is this, we are going to have our x1 to be equal to 3, and we have our x2 to be equal to 7. We have our y1 to be equal to 2, and we have y2 to be equal to 10. So that's what we have. So we're going to also substitute this in this formula. So if we substitute that in that formula, we're going to have n to be equal to, okay, y2 now, which is 10 minus y1, which is 2, divided by x2, which is 7, minus x1, which is 3. So the gradient is going to be equal to 8/4, which will be equal to 2. So the gradient of this point, these 2 points here, or the gradient of this line is equal to 2. So now let's look at example 3. I mean, no, question number 2 under example 2. From here we have x1 to be equal to minus 2. We have x2 to be equal to 5. We have y1 to be equal to minus 3. And we have y2 to be equal to 8. So as usual, substituting these values in this formula, we're going to have n to be equal to x2 minus x1. X2 is 8 minus x1, that is minus 3, divided by y2, x2, I mean, that is y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Then x2 we have it to be 5. Then minus x1, which is minus 2 now. So m is going to be equal to 8. Minus is plus, so we are going to have plus 3 divided by 5 plus 2. So the gradient is going to be equal to 8 plus 3, which is 11, divided by 5 plus 2, which is 7. So our gradient here is 11 over 7. That's the gradient of those 2 points. So finally, we are going to be looking at number 3 on the example 2. Here we have x1 to be equal to 0, and we have x2 to be equal to 9. We have y1 to be equal to 8, and we have y2 to be equal to 10. So that means m now, which is the gradient, is going to be y2, which is 10 minus y1, that is 10 minus 8 divided by x2 minus x1, which is 9 minus 0. So we are going to have this to be 2, and then 9 minus 0 is 9. So we have this to be 2 over 9. 2 over 9. So this is all for gradient of a line. It's all for gradient of a line. Please like this video, subscribe to this YouTube channel, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to get notified each time we upload a video. Also, check the description below. You'll get a link to quick practice questions under this topic. Please click that link and get those practice questions as a practice on your own. Thank you.